Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living. Thank you all for coming out today, braving the chilly temperatures out there. However, it is a little warmer. We're on the positive side of zero all of a sudden. Not by much, but what did we have, 11?
It was 15 at my house.
It was 18 below at Wonder Park this week because we're close to the base.
So parts of town were cold for longer than other parts. But so thank you for coming out today in the cold. And welcome also to those of you watching on YouTube. We envy you in your pajamas watching in warmth. But you're missing out on some really great stuff by not coming here. All of the camaraderie, the hugs, you can't get those over YouTube. So if you're ever in our area, I invite you to come and be a part of one of our services. I promise you that we will do our best to make you feel right at home. And if you are watching at home in your pajamas, I invite you to go to our website. You probably got to YouTube through our website. At the top of the home page, there's a little button that says support us, and I would invite you to support us financially as well. Every January, I start off with a series, I call it Back to Basics, and we go back and look at some of the basic principles of the science of mind. Last week, I talked about how God is in all of everything, and we even found God in Hitler and in cancer and some things where we wouldn't normally expect to find the presence of a divine power. This week we're going to look at an important concept, and that is this idea that our thoughts are creative, that our thoughts create our existence. The title of my talk today is Thoughts Are Things. For me, the easiest way to deal with this concept that thoughts are things is our basic teaching symbol. And we have a symbol that we use to teach. It is a circle, and it's kind of divided into three parts with a big V in the middle. The idea of the circle is not to put a fence around God or to have a portion that says this is God and all of that outside of that is not God or ungod, but rather a circle that is infinite in nature. It has no beginning and it has no end. It goes on and on forever, and that is the nature of God that we have, and that's what we talked about last week. But we have these three parts of this circle. We kind of divide it, and that is the triune nature of that infinite presence that we call God. In different religions, it goes by different things, but many, probably even most religions look at the divine as a triune nature, that it has three parts. Many Christians look at the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. We look at it more in terms of spirit, soul, and body. Spirit being that kind of God, the great spirit, the soul of that which is deep within inside of us, and body, which is the body of God. We are all the body of God. That's kind of hard to get your brain around all that, so we use some different terms and different ways of looking at it. And another way that we look at it is those three parts can be thought of as thought, and the middle part is the creative medium, and the bottom is the manifestation. And to make that even more simple, we use the analogy of seed, soil, and plant. You know, our thoughts are seeds, and we put those into a creative medium, which is that part of God that responds to our thinking. And then the product is the plant. So if you want to have a different plant, you can plant a different seed. If you're experiencing something in your life that isn't what you really want, you can change that by planting a different seed. It's just like in the sacred reading. Karen was just awesome today. Thought is the conscious activity of the one thinking and works as he directs through law, and this law may be consciously set in motion. We can consciously set this law in motion. No, I lost my Emmett Fox quote. Emmett Fox said it very, very well. Emmett Fox. What you think upon grows. Whatever you allow to occupy your mind, you magnify in your life. Whether the subject of your thought be good or bad, the law works and the condition grows. Any subject that you keep out of your mind tends to diminish in your life because what you do not use atrophies. The more you think of grievances, the more such things you will continue to receive. The more you think of the good fortune that you have had, the more good fortune will come to you. So where we place our attention is what we attract more of into our life. A lady by the name of Anna Lou McNeil wrote a piece in a book called His Mysterious Ways that really illustrated this, I think. And it illustrates that our thoughts don't come with an expiration date. They kind of keep working on and on and on. Anna was at a place where she had been putting off a difficult decision for a long, long time. And it finally got to the place where she knew that she had to take action. Her mom was 87, was in failing health, and could no longer live totally by herself. And she knew she was going to have to do something with Mom. But she had moved away from the town that they grew up in. She was still in that area, but she'd moved out to a farm, a big farm that was many, many miles outside of town, and she knew that it'd be really too tough for Mom to come and live with her. Her brother and sister had moved a long ways away, and that would have been very difficult. That she knew she was going to have to do something. And this decision was made even more difficult by the fact that Mom had worked so hard to keep the family together. For you see, when Anna was 12, her dad passed away. He happened to be a postman, and Mom was left alone trying to raise the kids. A couple weeks after the funeral, she called the kids down to her bedroom, had a big bay window in her bedroom. They lived at 836 East Water Street. And she brought the kids in and she says, "Kids, I've decided things are going to be different here now that Dad is gone. But we're going to keep to some basic things. We're going to stay in this house. I am going to learn to drive, and I'm going to take over Dad's mail route." He was a mailman. "And I'm going to take over Dad's mail route. Now, you kids are going to have to chip in and do some of the stuff that I used to do, but we're going to stay in this house, and this is going to be our home forever." And that's exactly what happened. She learned to drive. She was awarded that very mail delivery route, and she took his rural mail delivery route. And even though sometimes she had to work 2 jobs, she was able to provide for that family and keep them together. And they stayed in that house at 386 East Water Street until all of the kids had grown and gone, and finally Mom sold and moved. But it was hard to find a place for Mom. Anna's oldest daughter lived in town, and she volunteered to do the research and find a place that would be okay for Mom. But all the places they found were too sterile. They were too impersonal, and Mom wouldn't like that. Mom wanted that feeling of family. And then one day, her daughter called and says, "I think I found one that may work. It's a small home. It'll only take 3 patients, but it seems to have this feeling of family, of all together, and I think that that's going to work." And it worked out. It was beautiful because the people treated the residents there with kindness and respect, and it was great. But Anna knew absolutely that this was the perfect place for her mom when she looked down and saw the address, and this home was at 386 East Water Street. Setting in course a thought that Mom had had all those years ago is we will live in this house forever. And there's kind of a Paul Harvey rest of the story moment in there. Yes, the room that was vacant was the one with the big bay window that her mom had always lived in. And she was able to move right back in there, and Mom called this her home sweet home. No, our thoughts don't have an expiration date. Along with this, I think it's important for us to realize how important it is to watch what we think, because we've talked, whatever we think, whatever we put into it is what we experience, and it's so easy for us to get wrapped around the wheel and start having a lot of negative thoughts. Once again, I go back to the sacred reading. Thoughts of sickness can make a man sick. Thoughts of health and perfection can heal him. What we think comes to be. Another story, this is a story of a psychologist who was teaching a class in stress management. And she stood before her students and she held a glass. And it was half full of water, and all the students were expecting, is this glass half full or is it half empty? But instead she says, how much does this glass of water weigh? And the guesses went everywhere from 8 to 20 ounces as to how much was going to say. And she says, you're missing the point. The weight is irrelevant. What's relevant is how long you have to hold it. If I have to sit here and hold this glass for 1 minute, it's no big deal. But if I have to hold this glass up here for 10 minutes, my arm's going to start getting tired. If I have to hold this glass for 2 hours, my arm is not only going to be tired, it's going to hurt, and it's going to become immobile, and I won't even be able to move it. And that's exactly what we do. If we have these negative thoughts, if we only have a negative thought for a few minutes, we can put it out of our mind, let it go and let it be, and it's not going to have a great effect. But if we carry it around for 15 or 20 minutes, it's going to start to hurt us. And if we carry it around all day, it's going to paralyze us, and we won't be able to move. So it's wise for us to release these negative thoughts. Some thoughts that have come to me in various ways throughout the last week. One is, I'm a procrastinator. Another is, I am judgmental. And a third one is, I am wounded. And a lady came in and she's been wounded her entire life. She was abused as a little girl. Her first marriage was very abusive relationship. And even though things are much, much better in her life right now, she's going through life wounded because she claims that I am wounded. So how do we go about changing our thoughts and our beliefs? I think the most important thing that we can do is to become aware of what we're thinking. So many times we're running on autopilot and we don't even know what it is we're really thinking. In our practitioner training, one of the things that we have the practitioners do is keep a journal and keep a log of all of their thoughts. What are we really thinking? And it's surprising if you take the time to journal your thoughts and what it is you are really thinking. We have over 60,000 thoughts a day. Now most of those are in and out and they're not really of major effect to us. But boy, if we can find a pattern within there, then we can start to do something to do something about it. But we often have this tape running in the back of our mind that we're really not even aware of. And we do this all the time. I know I do driving. I leave the house, I get here, I don't know where I know I obeyed the traffic rules, except that time I got the ticket. But but I don't consciously say, turn on blinker here, you don't, you just kind of do it. Ann and I were walking down the Camino, and all of a sudden something hit me, and I realized I had just done something totally unconscious. There was this giant cow plotcher right in the middle of the trail. I mean, there was a cow that had a lower GI issue. I don't know what it had eaten, but it left a big old pile there right in the middle of the trail. And I had somehow, I don't know how I did it, but it tippy-toed my way through there. I think I had a dismount that would made Nadia Comaneci jealous. I got through, and I never even stepped in it. And I was only after I was through it there, how in the world did I do that? I was on autopilot. And we sometimes we run on autopilot way too much. And if we can stop and think how that autopilot's running, or if we look at the conditions in our life that maybe aren't as appealing as we would like, the things that we would like to change, we can look and say, maybe I have an autopilot going on there. Maybe I just made my way through a big old cow pie and didn't even know it. Another thing that we can do, once we can discover what some of those negative thoughts are, is we can use affirmations. And for those that don't know, and all you people watching on YouTube, you missed this, a good one too, because you get my great joke every week. We really believe in another law. It's called the law of circulation. So when we have our collection during the service, we not only pass the basket so you can make a contribution to it, but we have another set of baskets that go out so you can receive an affirmation. And I invite you to grab that affirmation. And how many times it is so perfect, it's exactly what you need for that day, for that week. There isn't enough coincidence to make up for it. So I invite you to explore the use of affirmations. And then you can reframe. You can look at things differently. Eckhart Tolle tells us that there's a way that we can do that, and that we can ask a question instead. Instead of, looking at it, I am a procrastinator, we can ask, why do I tend to put things off? Instead of saying something like, I am judgmental, we can ask, why do I feel judgmental? Or instead of saying, I am wounded, we can say, why is it that I feel wounded? And when we can look at that, maybe we can discover what it is that's making us feel the way we do. And then we can do something about it. And one of the things that we can do is to think empowering thoughts. And these are some examples. A disempowering thought is, why am I so broke? A more empowering thought is, why is it so easy for me to generate income from unexpected sources? Disempowering thought, why can't I sustain a good and loving relationship? A more empowering thought is, why are beautiful and loving people attracted to me? Every week I like to leave you with something to take away. And this week, what I want to invite everyone to do is to take the time to really watch what it is you're thinking and pay attention to it, and take the time to reframe it and put it in a different light. And I think when you do that, you're going to discover this powerful law that our thoughts are creative, can be used to change your life in a powerful, powerful way. So with that in mind, I'd like to invite my colleagues, the practitioners, and the practitioner students too, to join me in holding our congregation in love and light, and just simply knowing that there is a magnificent power in the universe that is in, around, and through all that is, that is at the center of our being. And we are so blessed because we have the power to interact with that infinite power, that creative presence that has created all of everything, and we get to talk to it. We get to be a part of it. We get to interact with that, and we can do so through our very thoughts. And so I speak my word now for all of the people that are experiencing the challenges in this life. Some people experiencing health challenges. We know that these health challenges are absolutely real. There is such a thing as cancer. There is such a thing as all of the other diseases that we face. But there is also a spiritual truth, and that is that each and every one of us is a perfect child of God, made in the very image and likeness of God, and we have within us that same power that created the universe, which has the power to heal that which is affecting us. And we can call forth that power through our thoughts, through our words, through our actions. I speak my word for those that are experiencing financial challenges. Too much month and not enough paycheck. We just simply know that we live in an abundant universe, a magnificently abundant universe that provides for us. And we only need to open up and accept that which we already have. And lastly, I speak my word for those who are experiencing separation. Separation from one another, separation from God. Separation from that infinite, divine, creative force. And I just simply know, because there is only one mind, and that mind is the mind of God. And that is my mind. That is the mind of each and every one of us. And I absolutely know that the nature of that infinite creative force is one of love. It is one of acceptance. It is one of forgiveness. And so for those that are experiencing separation, I just simply know there can be no separation. There can only be love, the very love of God. And so I just give thanks. I give thanks for my awareness of the presence of God in my life. I give thanks for my awareness of the presence of God, that infinite creative force in the lives of each and every one of us. For each of us are beloved children of the Most High. So we give thanks now, and we can go forward in our weeks, our days, with a firm confidence of knowing that we're never alone, that God is always with us. And so it is.